The corporate Trojan horse, how my sister tried to rob me. They say blood is thicker than water, but in my family it was just thinner than a bank statement. My sister Sarah was the golden girl. She was the one with the MBA, the one who moved to Manhattan to climb the corporate ladder, while I stayed back in our hometown. I spent my days in a dusty converted shed, writing code for an obscure logistics startup I had founded in my bedroom. When our father passed, he left me a bunch of worthless server hardware and a few outdated domain names. Sarah laughed at me. She took the house, the vacation home, and the cash reserves, leaving me with the digital scrap metal. 6 months later, that scrap metal was acquired by a global tech giant for $5 million. Everything changed overnight. Sarah was at my front door before the news even hit the morning paper. She wasn't there to celebrate. She brought a high-profile lawyer and a stack of legal papers, claiming that my reclusive lifestyle was evidence of a mental breakdown. She filed for emergency guardianship, aiming to seize my estate and protect me from myself. Yesterday, we met in court. The room was freezing. It smelled like old paper and stale coffee. Sarah sat there with her legal team, looking like a picture-perfect executive. She had our mother there too, crying into a silk handkerchief, playing the part of grieving sister. When it was my turn to speak, I didn't get up with a lawyer. I stood up alone. The judge, a no-nonsense woman with tired eyes, looked at me over her glasses. She asked if I understood the severity of the petition. Sarah's lawyer stood up, smooth and arrogant. "Your Honor," he said, "my client's brother is clearly delusional. He hasn't held a real job in years. He's a danger to his own assets." I let him finish. I let the silence stretch for a long, heavy moment until the room felt like a vacuum. "Your Honor," I finally said, my voice cutting through the quiet like a blade, "there is a fundamental misunderstanding here." I reached into my briefcase and I pulled out a single, sealed file. "My sister claims I'm incompetent," I continued, "yet for the last 3 years, I haven't just been coding in a shed." I turned to look at Sarah. Her smirk started to waver. "I've been working as a covert systems architect for the Department of Justice," I said, my voice cold and steady. "I was tasked with tracking a series of offshore accounts involved in massive domestic tax evasion." Sarah's face went pale. The color drained from her skin so fast she looked like a wax figure. "It turns out," I said, stepping closer to the defense table, "that those offshore accounts were linked to a very specific investment firm, the same one Sarah manages." The room was deathly quiet. You could hear the faint hum of the air conditioning unit and nothing else. "I didn't hire a lawyer today," I said, dropping the file onto the judge's desk, "because I don't need a defense. I need to submit evidence. The federal agents are waiting outside to discuss these exact bank logs." Sarah stood up, her mouth open but no words came out. She was shaking. She looked at our mother, then back at me, realizing that she hadn't come to a hearing to steal my fortune. She had walked straight into a trap. "Guardianship denied," the judge said, her voice echoing off the walls. She didn't even look at Sarah. She just picked up her gavel and banged it down. "Bailiff," the judge continued, "please escort the petitioner to the holding area." Sarah didn't even fight it. She just stared at me, us, eyes wide with terror, as the officers moved in. She thought I was the broken one. She thought I was the easy target. But as she was led out in handcuffs, the only thing that felt broken was her entire carefully constructed life. I walked out of that courthouse into the bright sunlight, and for the first time in years, the air actually felt clean. They wanted my money, but all they inherited was their own ruin.